not a game, it's a rich thing.
She did them, and I was aware she did them, and I just didn't know how to stop her from doing perks, and I kept warning her about fentanyl because I have a lot of friends that lost their kids. So I'm part of that club now. And I used to beg her, and tell her, please stop taking them. You don't know what's in them. In my daughter's case, is she didn't OD. For people that don't know the story, she was murdered by fentanyl. This is a picture of my daughter for the people that never seen her.
And I can't say it enough times. Do not accept anything from anyone you don't know. And even if you do know them, don't accept it unless you know what it is and where it's come from. And
I would say at my worst, I was probably taking between 30, 35, sometimes maybe 40 a day.
If anything, the way I look at it is like Sopranos saved me. When I would think like, man, what are you doing to yourself? It would be a lot easier for me to go like, stop doing this. Look at what your life could be, instead of what a lot of my friends were dealing with. And, I think it's 5 of my friends who I brought to the premieres of The Sopranos are dead now.
I had my own battle with addiction as well. The Vicodin and Percocet, that was the thing. Never, I didn't do heroin, or it wasn't coke or anything else. It was Vicodin and Percocet.
By 2005, I was a full-blown heroin addict and a crack cocaine addict.
And even people with the worst kind of mental illness have a chance if they have the capacity to be honest with themselves. The reality is we've been lying to ourselves with every drink we put in our mouth, or every puff we take, or every pill that we pop, or whatever we're doing. And then we wonder why people get pissed off at us, but we don't see that it's what we're doing. It's not my mother, my father, my brother, my uncle, my sister. No, it's me too.
The consequences are too severe for me. The damage I've done to my health, it's a fucking miracle. Nothing short of a miracle that I am still alive. So, if I can do it, any of you can do it.
When people suffer from alcoholism or drug addiction, there must come a moment when your life totally crashes. For me, that moment came when the pain was too great and the consequences were too profound. Only then did I decide to change. Recovery and sobriety is all about change, and for me, it started when I woke up in a grimy hotel room in a shitty little town in Pennsylvania. And so, if you want a new life and start a new journey of a lifetime, you've come to the right place. You want to drink? That's your business. You want to stop drinking? That's our business. Welcome to Recovery Tube.
Hey guys, how's everybody doing today? All right, we had a little mishap. I didn't realize till right before I was about to start the show that I had an addiction or recovery show scheduled on the Fat Bald Sicilian channel and the No Magazone, but not on Recovery Tube 180. Yeah, I don't need addiction or recovery shows on the politics channel, but I do need them on Recovery Tube 180. You know, so needless to say, I had to delete those shows and, I guess you could say reschedule them. So that's that. Now here we are. So my bad, my fault. Let me do some shout outs. We don't have many people. Miss Can't Be Wrong, Dave, Timothy Sullivan, Jesse Roth, Jason Mikesell, These Slapnuts. I think that's it. So guys, let me see here. We could talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. But I will start, even though you guys already heard it the other day, I will start with the story about the hospital situation on Sunday. I busted myself up. I smashed my head into the fucking concrete. I'd been hurting myself for about a week at that point. First my fucking hands, then my ribs, then my head. And now it seems like the swelling and the black and blue is getting worse by the fucking day, which is just fantastic. But I went to the hospital, and while I was there, Shanna met up with me. She got there about maybe 45 minutes after I got there. The lady comes into the room with the cart, and she says that they're going to give me oxycodone. Now, she had said a little while before that they were going to give me something for the pain. But again, I thought, and I say again, I mentioned this on the show the other day, I thought she meant Tylenol or Excedrin, something like that. She offered me oxycodone. And at that point, like right now, in the last couple of days, my body is fucking killing me. My ribs, my legs, my back, my neck a little tiny bit. And of course my head, but at the time it was just my head, it was just my head that hurt. Really, I just had a massive fucking headache. And I know they didn't know that because they knew I had injuries other places. They probably thought my whole fucking body was in pain, but I didn't complain about pain other than my head. And she offered me oxy. Now, I don't know what milligrams or anything like that. I don't know how many. I have no idea. I told her right off the bat, I don't want that. She finally went and got me Tylenol. It took a while. But I talked about on one of my regular shows the other day how that just shocked me. Because it's like, fucking oxycodone? Are you kidding me? I have a medical history filled with addiction issues. Going back about 26 years. Filled with addiction issues. It's insanity to me. Insanity that they would offer me that. I don't know if she didn't check my medical records. I don't know what the situation was. I would think they would do that before they'd offer me anything. They did ask me if I was allergic to anything, but that's about it. I should have said, yeah, any narcotic. That's what I'm allergic to. But she offered it. I turned it down. And I made a joke the other day about how after she left the room, I said to Shanna, was that a mistake? Should I have taken the oxy? And I'm going to tell you the truth. It did really cross my mind. There's no question about it. You know, I was in pain, and something like that sounded great at the time. Of course, I didn't take it. I'm glad I didn't take it. I'm proud of myself for not taking it. But I can't sit here and act like it didn't cross my mind. And that, you know, after she offered it, maybe I thought, maybe I should call her back in, you know? Without a doubt. You know, you're sitting there in misery. You could be on cloud 9. But you know me. Even in a situation like that, I would consider it a relapse. Unless, listen, well, it would still be a relapse. But if I was in severe, severe pain, if God forbid I broke bones or something, I might have taken her up on that offer. I ain't even going to lie to you. But that would be a relapse. It would. I'm not willing to do that unless it was so necessary. I felt like I had no choice. You know, I certainly did not need it on Sunday. I was not in any type of pain that would require oxycodone, but they still offered it. They still offered it, which is, again, insane to me. And it opened my eyes to how easily you can get that shit, or how quickly a doctor will put you on it. You know, it's nuts. And this is why people become addicts with some of those fucking pills and shit. They become addicted. It's sad. It is. But, you know, she thanked me. She congratulated me for my clean and sober time. And she thanked me for letting her know. I don't know why. Maybe she could have gotten in some trouble if she gave it to me. I'm assuming it was ordered by a doctor, so it wouldn't have been her issue. But I wanted to share that story because anytime I have a craving or I, you know, using in any way, shape, or form crosses my mind, I tell you guys about it. And I'm not gonna lie to you, man. After she left that room, I thought, damn, would that have been okay for me to take? And the answer obviously is no, it wouldn't have. Especially since I've never even taken that shit before. You know what I mean? They put me on fentanyl when I had my fucking surgery, but only during the surgery. You know what I mean? Because they couldn't do a general anesthetic because they needed me to be awake for my I was there to get a what's called a PVC ablation. I was having what is it? Something ventricular contractions. What's the exact I forget. When I was having these PVCs, it's where your heart skips a beat. And mine was skipping like every other beat. It was bad. They needed me to be awake so they could see those PVCs because they had to, you know, like use like a fucking Jesus Christ. I don't even remember now. They had to burn certain tissue in my heart or whatever to stop this shit from happening. I don't know. I forget what it is. So they needed me awake for it. So they just had to give me something for pain. So they gave me fentanyl for the surgery. After that, nothing. I left with nothing. So, you know, other than that, I've never taken opioids of any kind. Or, well, I'm sorry, aside from that, I should say, ever. I never took anything. So it would be the stupidest thing in the world for me to have done if I would have taken that pill the other day, because it's not even, like I said, something I've taken before or some shit. And it's not even like part of my addiction. Like I was never addicted to anything like that. Benzos, but not opiates or opioids, whatever. It would have been like introducing not only a drug into my body, but a new drug, you know, a new drug. And I have an addictive personality. So who knows, maybe one fucking pill would have done it, you know, like, ooh, that felt good. And then I'd be fucked after that. These are all the reasons why I didn't take the pill, because all this shit runs through my head. FBS, I was talking to my brother last night. He has 8 years clean now. He said he was shooting up 30 times a day there at the end. That's crazy. I'm glad he's okay. I'm sure it was. Robert B., what's up? Timothy Sullivan. I take my sobriety serious, and I take our border crisis serious also. Come on, Timothy. Save it for a politics show, brother. Timothy's got politics on the brain. He's worse than me. They say most heroin addicts don't make it to their 50th birthday. That's true as far as a relative of mine. I believe it. I told you. Somebody said to me once, there's no such thing as an old heroin addict. I believe it. My addict self says, as long as I don't go back to heroin, I'm good. I've tried every drug out there, from the worst to Special K, horse tranquilizer. Nothing stuck, but dope did. Well, that's more than enough. Hold on. I don't want to skip comments. Happy sobriety to you too, FBI. Malik Irvin. No, don't take the Oxy. You did the right thing, FBI. So, yeah, there was no fucking chance. There was no chance. You know, it's not even like I thought about it right away. I told her no. Is when she left the room that I thought about it. I was like, wait a minute. It would have been justifiable, you know, but it wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have been. Getting clean and sober over 20 years ago was the best decision I ever made. I hear that, Timothy. You know, I was sitting here thinking, you know, people like Timothy and Don and Kimberly and these people we know that have, you know, decades clean. I look at people like that and I say, wow, you know, how do they do it? But then I realized that people who only have maybe a few months or a year or two clean look at me the same way with my 5 years. You know, it seems like such a long time, but you really do. You do it day by day, you know, one day at a time, as they say. And time just moves on as usual. It moves quickly. So it's really, I don't know. I can't say it's not hard, but it doesn't seem impossible when you think about it in terms of, you know, just one day at a time. If you think about, oh my God, how the fuck will I ever have 30 years sober? It's a bad thing to do to yourself. It seems like an impossible task. But you just live your life without using. And, you know, you build that clean time, you know, you accumulate clean time. And before you know it, you got 20, 30 years. I told you, I never imagined I'd have 5 fucking years clean and sober. And I got more than that now. I never imagined it. The longest, once I started using I guess if you could say 15, 16 when I started drinking. I didn't become an alcoholic right away, but when I started drinking. Since then, other than this stretch, the most I probably ever had was a year, 2 years, something like that, of being completely clean and sober. Now, I had years at a time where I used and I just wasn't addicted. You know, I drank, but I wasn't an alcoholic. Well, I wasn't a full-blown alcoholic, and I used Coke, but it was just here and there. But still, I had something in my system, so you certainly can't consider it clean time. They say weed's a gateway drug. I say in my life, weed is the gatekeeper to keep me from going down that dark, lonely road. I can't do a sober life. I'm too angry and violent person. Sober, I need self-meds. Well, if you need something or you feel like you need something and you got to do it, then weed would be the thing. I would assume it's probably the least harmful. Doctors really need to know if their patients have a history of addiction. Not sure if HIPAA laws hide that critical piece of info, which is fucked up. Yeah, I am assuming they don't, but how the fuck? It's mind blowing to me. Like if I was a different person who was, you know, in recovery and I took that pill, I could have ruined my whole fucking life. You know what I mean? When I say a different person, I mean if I was somebody who wasn't as you know me, I'm a hyper obsessive about everything. Like, you know, I'm OCD when it comes to shit. When I do something, it has to be fucking perfect. And that goes for clean and sober time too. You know, I know people that'll sneak a little something here and there, and it's like as long as nobody else knows, they can keep fronting like they've been clean and sober the whole time. But I would know. I would know. I could never be that way. So let me see. I forgot why I started saying that. So if I left off without finishing my thought, my bad. Sometimes it doesn't follow you around in your medical records like you think. Really? Jesus. Well, you just got to be honest then. Here in my state, you're supposed to be flagged accordingly. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry I keep skipping comments, guys. I'm back to using the fucking touchpad on here. Holy shit. Here in my state, you're supposed to be flagged accordingly, but people get around that. Well, they definitely do. I mean, that's how people doctor shop and every fucking thing else. But eventually, aren't you put on some list where, like you said, after enough time or incidents, aren't you put on a list where you really are flagged and they just won't give you anything? I mean, I would think. I told you there was only one other time since I got clean and sober that something like this happened. And it was when I forget what I was going through, if it was anxiety or insomnia. I don't know. And the doctor offered me benzos. I forget what they were. It was probably Ativan or something. And I looked at him like he was crazy. I'm like, no, I can't take that. You don't understand. I mean, that was not, I can't say benzos were my drug of choice, but they were one of the drugs I used and was addicted to. You know what I mean? It was primarily cocaine and alcohol, but those benzos, they go hand in hand, maybe not so much with the alcohol, but with the cocaine. So when I didn't have enough alcohol, I'd take a bunch of benzos, so that would slow my heart down and I could keep doing coke, which is a horrible thing to do. You're fucking with your heart bad when you do shit like that. But the docs can go online and see what you're prescribed now, so no more doc shopping. Oh, good. The hospitals around here know about my drug history. I've been to every ER in my city, from gunshot wound stabbing. I got a cyst from skin popping heroin. God damn, bro. Back then, Narcan wasn't available like now, so I had to call. Oh, wait. If this one's first. My brother scared me more times than one. I walked in with him ODing. Back then, Narcan wasn't available like now, so I had to call 911 and pray. Jesus, I'm sorry, Miss Campero. That had to be horrible. I had my fun, but I never got addicted to anything. I watched the pain my brother caused my father. Well, that's what does it sometimes, seeing that shit. Seeing it in your family or, a close friend or something, seeing what they go through with addiction or what they put others through. And it's like, fuck that. See, I don't really have that. I didn't have that. My dad, like I said, he might drink. He might have drank once a year. My mom about the same. She would just have like a half a cold beer. She just liked the taste of it. My brother was using a lot, but he was older than me, and I wasn't around him that much. He was, he was all over the fucking country. You know what I mean? He would steal cars and being fucking. They'd found him in Texas one time, California, the Spanish Harlem, all over the fucking place. So I didn't really see him using. He wasn't around me, So I never saw anybody with real bad addiction, by the time I started using. I don't think so. I had an uncle who he was an alcoholic, but he was a functioning alcoholic. He was a mailman in Brooklyn, you know what I mean? In downtown Brooklyn. So he just drank every chance he got, but he still went to work every fucking day. I only wish my brother had gotten clean before we lost my dad, and he could have had a relationship with him as a sober man, but he's sober now. Yeah, I know. That's tough. I think about that too, that's why I'm so glad I got clean when I did, because of my mom, October 30th, I'll have 23 years clean and sober. Congratulations, Robert. That's amazing. I said, Father, I meant family. Oh, where? Oh, cause my family, not cause my father. Gotcha. Yeah, he certainly is. Let's see. My ego is the reason I got hooked to dope. There was a female I was trying to get clean off dope. I think you meant to say. She told me how hard it was. My ego. Like that. Yeah, no drug. You can't stop. Well, I try it. That was wow. That's a fucked up one. I can't even read that. These slap nuts. I tried, but I can't. Here's another dickhead with politics on his mind, and he's very, very worried about transgender people, probably because he's, in the closet, secretly homosexual. Jim, we know what you're all about. Nobody has that stuff on their mind 24 fucking hours a day, unless, you know what I mean? They got a little something going on behind the scenes. People that move around and change docs, it's hard to flag if they're in different medical systems, hospital computers. Even in 2024, I mean, like, you would think with a single fucking keystroke, you could find out anything about anyone. You know what I mean? Especially in the medical system. Listen. Jim is a miserable person. Trust me. He's sitting around worried about transgender people all fucking day. He's a loser. Ignore him. Let me see. The only time I think about dope is when I'm in Crane for my chronic bad knees. Other than that, I don't miss the drug. I just miss the adventure to get the drugs, adrenaline rush. Yeah, see, that you're like, sometimes I talk about people like you. You have the chronic pain. I don't know how the fuck you do it, but I give you a lot of props, man. I've never been in that situation, so I don't know what I would do. I don't know. I think I'm finding out I have a pretty high tolerance for pain. Actually, I know I always did, but I don't know about chronic pain like that. When temptations or a short memory of the self-inflicted damage hits you, you have to reach out to your clean friends and go help the ones still suffering. I've had to give it away to keep it 30 years, April 3rd. It's amazing, man. And yeah, that's how you do it, I guess. It is. I really wish there was a situation in my day-to-day life where I could, try to help people, even just by telling my story or something. I mean, if I looked into it, I could probably figure out a way to do that, but I don't know. I never see my mother drink a drop, and my dad had a beer once in a while. They were both raised by people who are alcoholics. Really? Interesting. That's probably why, though. Your mother and your mom and your dad were raised by alcoholics, so they didn't want to be like that. I could see it. My daughter, she never really saw me fucked up, but of course now she knows that I did have drug and alcohol issues. So I would hope that just that alone would keep her from ever doing anything stupid or using anything to the point of possibly getting hooked on it, Because, once you find that out about somebody, even if you don't realize it when it's happening, which a lot of the time you don't as a kid, you can look back to any odd, peculiar fucking behavior and attribute it to, oh, that's why. That's why he was acting like that. That's why he did this or that, and maybe use it to keep yourself from making the same mistakes. I grew up in crack era. My dad showed me how to cook crack at 9 years old. Everybody in my neighborhood was crack dealers. It's crazy, bro. Dad taught you to cook crack at 9 years old. Jeez, I thought my dad fucking raised me to be a criminal. That's bad. I hear you, Malik. My weed is for chronic pain. Better weed than a lot of pills. Yeah. I mean, if you have chronic pain and that keeps you from taking opioids, then of course, I mean, it's a good thing. You know, it's a good thing. I ran into a guy about a week and a half ago while I was out doing my new, hobby, my new form of exercise. And we started talking, and he said, we weren't talking about addiction or recovery. He just said out of nowhere, like, I don't even remember what brought it up, that he hasn't had a drink since 2007, and he smokes weed. He just smokes weed, but until 2015, he was completely clean and sober. And I said, well, I do addiction and recovery shows on YouTube, and that's one thing we always talk about. Like, if you smoke weed, you smoke weed. Just don't say you're clean and sober, or just don't say you're clean, And he agreed. He's like, no, I know. I considered myself in recovery between 2007 and 2015. Now it's just, I don't drink. I just smoke weed. Like, all right, well, what can I say? I can't criticize you. Big Country, I'm wearing them because my face is all fucked up, not because I'm trying to block out the light. Did he really? Well, I mean, that's because, look, it has a lot of medical uses, It's fucking, it's good for pain, I guess. It's funny, I drive around now and I see dispensaries and shit, and it's like, and I never imagined the day. I never imagined it. Like, I went to jail for this shit. Now you could just walk in there and buy it? What the fuck, man? Well, thank you, Timothy. I try. I try. That's the goal. I feel you, these slap nuts. FBS, I still say you should look into the addiction recovery specialist program. Doesn't take that long. You can do it online. What is that? Is that like to become a counselor or something? Because you got to go to college for that shit, don't you? Really? Thank you, Miss Can't Be Wrong. I certainly do. I know it firsthand. The only way you stay sober is to know who you are and what your triggers are. My triggers are when I get angry, I want to medicate because I get violent thoughts flowing through, and I don't want to act on them. Well, I guess you got to learn how to deal with that so you don't want to use. You probably got to deal with the anger issues right along with addiction, That's true, Miss. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'll tell anybody if they ask. Nobody has asked. If you were to ask me, did you step out of line and Miss Can't Be Wrong punched you in the fucking face? I would say, of course. I mean, I thought everybody already knew. Yeah, no doubt. No problem, Big Country. I know it's confusing to fucking turn on a YouTube show and I'm sitting here with fucking sunglasses on. Trust me, I wish I didn't have to wear them right now. I wish I did. I woke up this morning. Now my whole fucking eye is swollen. Like, it was just my head. My head's still swollen up here. It was my head and it was my eyelid. Now it's the whole fucking eye. It was all swollen this morning and shit. It's like, how fucking long does it have to get worse before it gets better? It's been since fucking Sunday. I mean, you would think at least the swelling would be going down, not continuing. But nope, still happening. True, I never imagined it either. My uncle went for it several times. Now it's illegal. State, though, not federal. Oh, for weed, you mean? Yeah. I think FBS should open a recovery center in Florida. He has a lot to offer those still suffering. I would love to, Timothy. And we were actually talking to somebody about that at one point, me and Shanna. Because, Shanna has the experience as a nurse who's, not right now, but she used to work, she's worked on and off for decades in
the field of addiction and recovery, I guess you could say, in drug and alcohol treatment facilities. So, she has her expertise. My dad's favorite line was, "The white man won't give you an inch, so you got to take a mile." I never understood it until I got old. I love you, D Slapnuts. You're a fucking trip, bro. You are a trip. You can't count on anybody to give you anything, and you shouldn't even want to, It's best to take what you want. Yeah, I know. Thank you, Big Country. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you. There are grants to start sober living homes. Yeah, I've heard about that. You want to hear what's fucked up, man? Is how many drug dealers I've known over the years that none of them actually did it. Like what you'll notice about drug dealers, the majority of them, they'll tell you that they're only hustling so they could open a barber shop or a car detailing shop or something, you know what I mean? Some business. And then they're good. They're out of the game. You know what I mean? Rarely ever happens. But I knew several guys who their whole hustle was they wanted to buy properties to turn into fucking sober living homes, which is so fucked up because two of them were heroin dealers. You know what I mean? And they just knew that that's a good hustle because you can buy a dilapidated piece of shit with a few fucking rooms in it and then charge people, $150 a fucking week to be there, $200, whatever. And, you bought it for maybe $35,000 in cash in the hood somewhere. Cause all those sober living houses, at least any of the ones I've visited, are in the worst fucking neighborhoods and they are complete and total fucking dumps. So they figure, 25, 30 G's, they could buy one of these fucked up houses, maybe put a little work into it, and then, rent out these rooms and make a huge profit. None of them ever went through with it, but just the fact that they had that idea is kind of fucked up if you think about it. FGF Productions, my brother, what's up, man? Good to see you. Did I already shout you out? I'm sorry if I did. Big Country, I live in Broward County, Florida, and the fentanyl epidemic is horrible. I bet, man. I bet. Especially there. And every time we visit there, when we get in conversations with people, the topic seems to always come up. There's one store we like to visit in Fort Lauderdale, and this kid, we were talking to him not about drugs and alcohol. It's not something we just bring up. We were talking to him, I think, about wanting to move down there one day, and he started talking about the drug scene. And he talked about how it's like, I forget if he gave us numbers or what, but he was talking about how many fucking like rehabs and sober living houses, recovery homes, whatever there are in Fort Lauderdale and that general area, Broward County. I've always heard that about Florida, I know a lot of people who got sent there to go to rehab. So I'm not surprised at all, Big Country. By the way, if you're new, man, thank you for being here and joining these shows. It means a lot to me. My dad always told me verbal conversations never beat out physically conversation. Oh, you mean verbally he was abusive, not physically? FBS wearing sunglasses indoors is good practice for when you become a senior citizen and need to wear the glaucoma shades. That's fucked up, Malik. It's fucking me all up because then when I put my regular glasses on, I don't know. Everything looks weird. It looks funny. I don't know what it is. Everything's so bright all of a sudden. I'm trying to wear these as much as possible because it looks so bad that even in my own home, I don't want my mom or my wife or my stepson to see. It's so fucked up, man. Oh, thank you, man. Thank you, FGF. Yeah, maybe it'll become permanent. Let's see. Yeah, it is. It is. But there's also something sinister behind it. A lot of fucking drug dealers will exploit people's addiction issues. I mean, well, that's what drug dealers do by nature. But I mean, in a situation like that, their recovery, like, you own a sober living house that's filled with drug addicts and you happen to sell the drug that they're addicted to. You know what I mean? I consider it like an urban legend about drug dealers going to NA meetings to kind of prey on fucking addicts and stuff. I only say an urban legend because it's one of those things you always hear about, but yet I spent my entire life around drug dealers of every type, and I've never seen anybody actually do it, but didn't they do that in Breaking Bad or some shit like that? I think. Didn't that fat kid do it or somebody? Frankie's the man. You sound like my mommy. LOL. Miss can't be wrong doing just that. Thank you. Oh, shit. I've watched the documentaries about Broward County. There's a guy, can't remember his name, but he lives there and rides around taking anyone to treatment he can into going when beds are. Is that right? Do you mean rides around taking anyone or taking anyone to treatment he can talk into going? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I read it wrong. When beds are open. Gotcha. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Does he regularly find people? Does he just go where a lot of addicts are or some shit and then just fucking ask people if they're ready or something? I knew plenty of dealers who got hooked on their own product, went from making money to selling to support habit. Yeah, man. I had to re-up constantly just to keep a profit coming in because I was snorting so much of my fucking coke. I always managed to make some sort of profit because I paid my bills for years with no problem, with no income other than drug money. But I mean, for a while there, I'll say just that period, maybe 2012, 13, 14, which is a long time, 3 fucking years. I was doing so fucking much that I had to just constantly re-up. You know what I mean? Because every time you re-up, there's more profit there. You got more work. So it's like whatever you make on, say, 2 ounces, like I was getting. Now you have that, even though you used up maybe most of your profit from the last fucking batch. You know what I mean? Now you got more. You got to sell that quickly enough to make a fucking profit, re-up again before you snort all that. I know. Big Country, I've been watching you from the beginning and you built a good channel, brother. This is just my first time really commenting. Oh, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. And I'm glad you decided to join the chat. Recovery and politics. You think I should start a recovery home for Republicans? No, I'm just fucking around. No verbal conversation doesn't solve issues, but a physical conversation, your point gets across without any misunderstanding. Oh, okay. So no verbal. I need to just beat people. Don't try to talk to them. Just fuck them up, is what you're saying. That's one way to do things, I guess. A lot of people conduct themselves that way. Ain't no talking. It's going to whip your ass. You're going to learn today. I know many dealers who copped to be an addict so they didn't get charged. Is coped or copped? As a dealer sitting in court, appointed rehab networking addicts for when he gets out. Yeah, I'm not surprised. What the fuck does that mean, Tom Sheehy? What's up, my brother? What the hell ye ducking? What does that mean? I'm glad you're here. It's good to see you. Tom, of course, Tom and should I say? I'll just say right now, Tom. The other person can text me if they want me to say, but Tom put a big smile on my face before I even woke up. I had $100 donation from Tom. It's my brother. I appreciate you. And there's one other person, but I don't know if they want me to say. You're in here to diss Argo, are you? Off with your head, fuckface. No dissing Argo in the chat, bitch. What else, guys? What are we, 44 minutes in? Talk to me. Tell me what's on your mind. Let's see. What do we got? Nothing yet. Might take a minute. I don't know. I think the main thing I wanted to bring up today, even though I talked about it on the show the other day, I know, and all of you were there, so you heard about it. The Oxy thing. It fucked me up, you know. And even Shanna. Well, Shanna wasn't as surprised as I was. I think she just knows more about how it all works and how easily they'll hand that shit out to you. I was fucking in shock. I have never been offered Oxy for any fucking thing. Anything. I told you they after I had my defibrillator surgery, they gave me a prescription for Percocet, and I absolutely filled it, and then I sold it. I didn't want no part of it. But I've never, I've fucked myself up a lot, and I've been in the hospital a lot. I don't think I've ever been offered Oxy for any fucking thing. This was just absurd to me. I had a fucking splitting headache, but Oxy. I don't know. I mean, I know, like Miss Can't Be Wrong said, that they probably wouldn't have sent me home with a prescription. I honestly think they would have. Just as easily as she offered that. I feel like they would have. And that's crazy. But even if they wouldn't have, I still feel like there's something behind that. Some intention. Like, oh, even though this guy could do with just a couple of Tylenol, let's give him oxy fucking codone. Are they trying to create addicts, or am I just becoming a conspiracy theorist now? Because that's just crazy to me. That's fucking nuts. Okay, yeah, my man Frank also. Frank sent me $100 this morning. It's a good day so far. Thank you guys both. Thank you. I appreciate it. And let me see. Oh, okay. And he's doing, did you already do it? You already dropped the video? Frank dropped a video about, or he's going to, about how he became a father. So that'll be cool. I'll check that out, bro. And thank you so much again. You guys are the best. Both guys, Tom and Frankie. Awesome guys. Awesome guys. Maybe they would have done. I don't know. I mean, you're probably right. I don't know. I just feel like because of how easily they offered it, that maybe they would have said, here's, even if it's just a few days worth or something to go home with. And the only reason I'm proud of myself is because well, how do I say it? Like, well, obviously because I turned it down, but because I just had it in my head the way I want to say it. I didn't need it at the hospital. I didn't. So if I would have taken it, that would have just been weakness on my part. It would have just been my, inner addict coming out and saying, oh, here's a chance to use drugs. You know what I mean? And that's all I'd be doing it for, because there was no pain, and there still isn't, so horrible that I need something like that. Don't get me wrong. My fucking ribs, guys, more than anything else, the pain is extraordinary. Like last night, I couldn't even cough. And this morning too. It's unbelievable, especially right after I wake up or when I lay down at night. I start to get stiff and shit. My ribs are fucked up. But they don't work. Did I freeze? What happened? What the fuck happened? Okay, my whole computer stopped working. Can you see me? All right, now it went back to normal. Anyway, no, my pain didn't call for that, and it still doesn't. So if I would have accepted that shit, even in the hospital, it would have been just an excuse to use because I didn't need it. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely proud of myself for turning it down, because a lot of people would have jumped on that. It's just crazy they even offered it. I don't know. I mean, it's not like, 20 years ago, I understand, it wasn't all the shit that's happened, all the people who have died and stuff, it hadn't gotten at that point nearly as bad as it wound up, being later on. And even to this very day, it wasn't that bad at that point. I think it was getting there then. Now, you guys might know the timeline better than me, but as bad as it's gotten, you would think they'd be more careful. Thank you, War. Appreciate that, man. A lot of heroin addicts started on painkillers and the doctor stopped prescribing, so they hit the streets to get painkillers. Oh, that's what always happens. Always. Yeah. And then it's, damn near impossible to keep up with, because when you're getting it from the doctor, you might pay a few dollars for your prescription. When you go out on the streets, you're paying, depending on where you are, $1 a fucking milligram. You can't possibly sustain that. So you'll be dope sick all the time, and you'll have no choice but to go buy a bag of dope for $10, and then 2, and then 3, and then a bundle. You know what I mean? It's just the way it works. It just leads to heroin, always. It's so funny because this one couple I always think about, they lost everything. Beautiful couple, and the chick was smoking, and they were both professionals. They had everything going on, big, beautiful house, new vehicles every year or so. They got in a horrible car accident, and they got hooked on this shit. And, years later, they got cut off, and then they started buying it off the street. And they told me that they would need, I think it was 380s each or 280s each, something like that, just to feel normal. And they would need that at least a couple of times a day, like 380s each in the morning and then 3 at night. Some crazy shit. 2 or 3, whatever it was. I don't remember exactly. And I said to them one time, and this is a crazy thing to say, I know, but they were constantly complaining about how they don't have the money, they can't get the shit, and they're dope sick. I said, well, why don't you just try dope? I know it's a horrible thing to say, but this was my mind back then, because you're obviously not. They had both turned down help numerous times. They had made it very clear that this is the situation they are comfortable in for whatever fucking reason, even though they can't even sustain the addiction, and they're constantly fucking or maintain the addiction, and they're constantly dope sick. It was like, what do you want me to say then? You know what I mean? Like, have you thought about just doing dope? And they said, well, but we're just afraid we don't know what's in it. And that's crazy, because I don't know where they're at now. I haven't seen them in 15 years probably. But now you can't even buy pills because you don't know what's in them. I understood back then. Yeah, you stuck with the pills because heroin scared you. You didn't know what was in the bag. You didn't know what it was cut with. You didn't know what was mixed in with it. You could drop fucking dead. You don't know the potency, whatever. But now it's like, now you can't even buy the fucking pills. It's nuts. FBS, when you need to cough, brace yourself with a pillow, put it across your abdomen and hold it across tightly. Really? Is that what I should do? I got to do something, man, because like yesterday, it was terrible early in the day. Then later on, it started to feel a little better. As soon as I laid down, and I was laying down for a while, I started to stiffen up, and like every fucking movement was excruciating. This morning too. It was my fucking ribs. I could deal with everything else. My ribs are just fucked up. It'd be one thing, like last week before this happened, when I smashed my head, I felt flat on my fucking right, like rib cage. Okay. And that shit was bad, real fucking bad. And by Sunday, it was starting to go away. And then I just fell flat on my fucking head, and of course my body, and followed along, and now it's both fucking sides. One side was bad enough. Now it's both fucking sides. So my knees are killing me today. Really sucks. I'd be horrified buying drugs off the street with the fentanyl issue. You never know what is laced, even in cocaine or pot. Yeah. Oh, I think about that all the time. Like, even if I was if I ever got to the point where I thought, fuck it, I'm going to buy a bag of Coke, I wouldn't do it. There's not, I couldn't be depressed or miserable enough that it would make me go do that unless it was a form of, the S word for me. Because even though you're most likely not going to find fentanyl in a bag of Coke, you just might. And then you're dead. You're finished. I don't even know how people do any of this shit anymore. You can't buy anything off the street and feel safe. But I guess, that's part of addiction. You got to do it, whether you want to or not. Sad. It is sad. Oh, really, Miss Can't Be Wrong? Nice. Well, I will use your advice. Shorty Grim, fuck off. Proud of you, FBS. The hospital oxy situation straightens your sobriety. You thought it through. Thank you, Timothy. Strengthens. I was wondering what you meant by straighten. Yeah. Listen, here's the thing about being addicts. At any given time, any of us could sneak some shit and probably get away with it. It's wanting to be clean and sober. It's wanting to know honestly that every minute of sobriety, you achieved, whether you did it by yourself or with a support system or whatever else, and you never fucking wavered. You didn't slip. Now, I'm not saying that relapse isn't a part of recovery. It is. So anybody who does relapse, don't feel like shit because of what I'm saying. I'm just saying that, the time is so important to me, that even if I could get away with doing something here or there, it would eat me alive inside. It would eat me alive. And I'm too honest of a person. I wouldn't be able to lie and sit here and, or even in my family and tell them I'm doing great. I'm still clean and sober, whatever, knowing that I use something, and I think that goes for a lot of us. The people who are truly serious about their recovery won't use. The people who are doing it for others more so than themselves, if they can get away with it, they might try to get away with it. Whether it's popping a pill, doing a line of Coke, fucking shooting some dope, which I think is probably a little more difficult to get away with, drinking, whatever. But if you're doing it for yourself, then it ain't about what anybody else thinks. You're doing it for you. So it's what's in here is important. You knowing that you've been truly clean and sober is important. Versus, just if you're doing it for other people, it's like, well, I don't want to be clean and sober anyway. So anytime I get a chance, you know what I mean? Like, it's not good. That's why, like I said, all the people I went to rehab with, it was with me, I think 13 total, including me. Damn near every one of them relapsed not long after leaving that place. And in some cases, multiple times. The one guy who I got very, very close with, Greg, this guy, I would talk to him after we left there maybe every 3 to 6 months. For a couple of years. We lost contact. I don't think his wife, he's a multi-millionaire. I don't think his wife wants him associating with peasants like me. That's the impression I got, But she's also the one that forced him into rehab. But every time I talked to him, he would tell me that he slipped and he relapsed, and he drank for a day or two and then he's back on track, But it's like, it's so sad because this guy was such an amazing human being, multi-millionaire, worked on Wall Street his whole life. Used to he showed me all types of pictures on his phone, him at the golf course in Jersey. I forget the name of it. Playing golf with Trump, eating dinner with Trump at fucking Mar-a-Lago. Like, they were tight. They weren't just people who ran into each other every now and then because he, because of what he did for a living. They knew each other for decades. And he was loaded. I mean, like multi fucking millionaire. But one of the nicest people I ever met in my life. This is why I say I can't, even though when I go at the Trump thing, you know, I don't, even if I say Trump supporters, I don't mean each and every one of you, because I know some who are good people. Now, I don't know so much if he was a Trump supporter politically, but he was friends with the guy. Doesn't matter to me. He was an awesome dude. You know, he was a great fucking guy. And he helped me a lot. When I left there, he did something really nice for me to make sure that I had a running start when I left rehab. You know, I won't get into what, but you can use your imagination. And it broke my heart, you know, hearing that he kept relapsing. And that had been his 12th time in rehab. I think it was his 3rd time just in that rehab. And another woman who I was very close with lives in Long Island, Oyster Bay, of all places. She, another millionaire, multi-millionaire. She had lost a son, and that's what made her an alcoholic, you know? And she finally went to rehab, maybe about 2 years after he passed, something like that. And she was in there with me, and we became very close. She was like a mother figure to me. I loved this woman. And she left there, and you know, I kept in contact with her more than anyone. We would talk almost every day. And we lost contact for a while, you know, about 2 months. I just couldn't get a hold of her. And when I finally did, she told me that she had relapsed, you know. So it's sad. Because there's people who do really want to stay clean and sober, but they can't. You know, their addiction is too strong. And then there's people who, I don't know. I think like maybe with this lady, you know, she lost her son, the love of her life. It caused all types of problems in her marriage. And I think she was probably, I don't know if she wanted to stay clean and sober. You know what I mean? I think maybe like something like that happens to you, you might just be on a suicide mission. So I don't judge people in that situation either, you know, because that pain is like nothing else, I'm sure. Let me see. Do I want to drink every day? Yeah. Is it worth throwing away the life and trust I have built and established with my loved ones? No. Very well said. Very well said. Yeah. It's not. And not just that, but like I said, Casey, even in your own mind, you know, like how would you feel if you drank? And yeah, sure, nobody found out about it, but you got to deal with it and look everybody in the eyes and tell them about your clean and sober time and all that, you know, your sobriety. And you know that you've been, you know what I mean, sneaking around using and shit. I say this because I did it. There was one point in my life where I got clean for about a year. Kinda. Not clean, sober more so at the time. At that point, it was mainly alcohol that was my issue. I had actually been drinking so much that I stopped doing cocaine and just drank for a while. And like at least twice during that year, I had snuck a little alcohol, you know, and I felt like fucking shit about it. I felt fucking terrible, which is another reason I just finally said fuck it and started drinking again regularly. I never want to be in that boat again, you know. I'll tell you what, MobTube helps a little bit too. Know why? My enemies. I would rather fucking die than give them the satisfaction of knowing I relapsed. You know, that's just one more part of it. Just one more part of it that helps. Pain will make you nuts, and when it's prolonged, it takes you to bad places. It takes you to a bad place at times. I'm sure. Wait a minute. What? Is this a continuation of this comment? A factor? No factor being dishonest, sneaking with yourself, addiction. tries to get you to fool yourself into thinking you can handle one drink when you can't. Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I couldn't have one drink. I would at least have to drink myself to sleep, that night. I'd have to drink right until I pass out. And then, where did that comment go? And then, maybe the next day I could start fresh, but at least for that day, no. Certainly can, Miss Can't Be Wrong. In my picture perfect world, I'd be on an island all alone, able to do every sin I want without judgmental eyes watching me. Hey, that's a good way to look at it. Just say that's a good way to meditate. Just picture that. There was a fucking, there was a psychologist I was seeing when I was in my late teens because of clinical depression. And he used to have me do this exercise. I would sit on this big leather couch in his office, and he'd have me close my eyes and put my hands by my sides. And he would walk me through, like, picturing my paradise, my absolute paradise. And he would walk me through it. Now, okay, now you see a big, giant set of stairs. And as you walk up the stairs, you see these two big, beautiful doors with golden door handles, or whatever the fuck you call them. And shit like this, and then it's up to you once you open those doors to picture what's inside. And mine was always the same. It was a half casino, half strip club. That's what I opened the doors to. And I would picture it. It was beautiful. People playing slot machines, roulette, blackjack, and then nude bitches doing lesbian shit on stage. It was awesome. And that gave me peace. I looked at it as my heaven. I don't believe in heaven, but if there is one, I hope it's like that. I do. Yeah, very true, Casey. Absolutely. I'm very lucky. I really don't deal with the urge to use day to day. Every once in a while, it crosses my mind. Me too, man. That's what I always say. That's why I have a guilt over that, that a lot of people do struggle. That's why, I feel like I can't even take as much credit for my sobriety as a lot of people can, because they really struggle. I really don't. When I get a craving, it's like every now and then I'll be at the store and I'll see a fucking, the cooler filled with all types of ice cold Coronas and shit like that. And it's like, oh, or I'll be at a restaurant where there's a bar and I'll be looking at the liquor like, I don't, or, there's been a couple of times I've thought about Coke, but it's mainly alcohol for me, but that's it. I just get the craving. I don't struggle with it. There hasn't been a day where I sat here and had to work really hard not to go out and get high or drunk. I've got it easy because, like I said, my addiction was more of a self-medication than anything else. Always throughout my life, it was just to kill pain and fucking misery. And the real addiction was physical for me. It was never really mental. I never really loved what I was doing, cocaine or alcohol. It was a means to an end. It was a way to fix whatever the fuck was broken at the time. And as soon as I got physically detoxed, it was a breeze for me. And this is not the first time. Every time I got, or medically detoxed, I'm sorry, every time I got medically detoxed, I was on a roll. I could have stayed sober as long as I wanted to. The thing is, until 2019, I never wanted to. I never wanted to be sober or clean for too fucking long. It's too easy not to be. It does suck when you're a fucking grown-up and you go out with a bunch of other grown-ups and they're all having a drink and you got to drink a fucking Sprite or something. It does suck to an extent. Although they're going to feel like shit when they wake up in the morning and you're going to feel like $1 million and they might do some crazy shit that night while you just go home and, rest or spend time with a loved one or something in fucking absolute peace and quiet, So it is beneficial for you to be the one that stays sober, but it does suck, That's why as a young man, I could never I refused to even consider staying clean and sober forever. It's like, you got to remember, the first time I went to outpatient rehab after having a fucking seizure from alcohol withdrawal, I was 19 years old. I might have been just about to turn 20. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, I'm going to turn 21 and not drink. The fuck out of here. I wasn't willing to have it. You want to be normal. You want to be like everybody else. So you could convince yourself that no. Last time that was just I just drank too much for too long. It became an issue. I can drink, socially, whatever, every now and then, and I'll be just fine. And you can't be, but it's not until you get to the point where you're willing to say, okay, if I never have this drug or this drink ever again in my life, I will be just fine. Not only will I be fine, but it's the only thing that will make me happy is never touching either of these substances again, or none of these substances. Once you get to that point where you think, okay, I'm ready to live life without any of this, then you could stay clean and sober. But as long as you still have the thought in your head, well, but what about when I go to these events? Or what about when I'm out with this group of friends? Or what about a Friday nights? What do I do after work every day? You know what I mean? When everybody else is going to have a fucking drink, you ain't going to stay clean and sober. And that's what makes it difficult. It does fucking suck. Your life changes when you get clean and sober. It does, because a lot of this shit you did throughout your life is over now. You're not going to clubs anymore. You're not hanging out at bars. You're not meeting chicks all over the fucking place because you're not at parties and situations like that. Or if you're a chick, guys, whatever, the stuff that you do when you especially drink, it loosens you up. You become more personable, and you fucking you're more outgoing. And I know people that as soon as they got to the bar, they would down a couple of drinks because they were like introverts. They were shy people who didn't really know how to socialize well, and they needed those couple of drinks to loosen them up. I used to be like that when I first started DJing. I was so nervous all the time that I would have a few drinks before I even played the first fucking song. So your life does change. You can't, like me, for instance, I'll give you an example. There is no question that I still have pretty much all the same DJ skills I had throughout my entire DJ career. And I got, the only music I might be behind on is like the last year and a half, which I could catch up on. Kaz sent me a hard drive with fucking like 350,000 songs on it, like a year and a half ago. So I would just have to catch up on that music. I have the equipment. People in York, I got a great reputation as a DJ. I could go get a job as a DJ in a heartbeat and be making a fuck ton of money. But is it a good, healthy choice? No. DJing is a whole lifestyle. It's like being a rock fucking star. It honestly is, dude. Chicks everywhere. Everybody loves the fucking DJ. Okay. Alcohol everywhere, of course, because you're going to be DJ in places where they sell alcohol. That's where you DJ. Bars, nightclubs, even if you do private events, parties, weddings. Okay. And there's coke everywhere. And in my life, it caused all of those issues. Cheating on girlfriends, because there was just, the temptation was everywhere and it was available to you. Women that wanted to, hook up with you, we'll say. Alcohol everywhere, so of course you're going to drink. Everybody else is drinking, and coke everywhere. So if you got if you are somebody who enjoys cocaine, as I did, then when there's cocaine, you're going to do it. And then that brings on all types of other risks, all those things, because now you're drinking and now you got to leave the fucking place and you got to drive home. That's how I wound up getting DUIs, stuff like that. So it's dangerous. Is it really worth it to me? I got to ask myself. My marriage would not be able to sustain it. There's no fucking way. No way. No, listen, no woman wants their man to be a fucking DJ. Okay. Especially not a nightclub DJ. You don't want that. And it's just not, it's not good. It's not conducive to a healthy relationship or a healthy marriage. It's not. So you got to sacrifice a lot. You got to give certain things up. Now, if you're somebody who can go play music every night at different events, and you manage to never have a fucking sip of a drink or do a drug, and you completely, totally resist the temptation to fuck all these girls, but then you're good. But not many people have that type of self-control. I never did. I choose to justify all my actions, good or bad. I could justify in my mind what the rest of the world thinks is not my concern. Is that good, though? These slap nuts? justifying bad decisions or bad actions. I don't know. Yeah. That's what's wrong with the world, looking for acceptance from others to validate their existence. Definitely. If I had a cap full of whiskey, I'd full-blown relapse. You believe that, really? Or do you know that about yourself, I should say? At least you have that self-awareness, bro. Thank you, War. My existence is here, front page news. You meet me, you will never forget nothing. Me, good or bad, I leave lasting impressions on people. I hear that. Me too. I can be your best friend, loyal soldier, or your worst enemy. Your energy determines where we go from here. I feel you. I like Sprite. The lemon lime combo is refreshing. Me too. Me too. I agree with you. Shit. Oh, it is. It's a whole lifestyle. It is. You sleep during the day. You go to work at night. You know, and when you're at work, there's everything available to you. Everything. You know, and my thing, especially like back in the day, was women more than it was any fucking thing else. I could turn down anything but that. You know, made it very hard for me to be faithful in most of my relationships. You know, I loved them. So it was difficult. It was difficult. Clean and sober, I'll be faithful to anybody. You throw some alcohol down my throat, and I'm fucking, you know, any bad bitch in sight. Let me see. Really? Do you slap nuts? Nice. Guilt-free conscience. Not me, man. Not me. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I want to thank you. Everybody write down these numbers, please. National Addiction Hotline, Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Go to nextdistro.org, or else John A. Light will come to your house and beat you with a fucking baseball bat. Okay? That's a joke, of course. You know what you do. I told you. You watch a little video, you fill out a little quiz, you give them your information, and voila, you got 4 Narcans in the mail free. So do it. It's worth having it, you know? And that's it, guys. Stay strong. Continue on your road to recovery. And I'll see you guys on the next show. I love you all. And until next time, salute.